Shandong, China, Tzu Chi volunteers conduct monthly home visits despite the freezing weather. In Indonesia, seniors at the recycling center are using recyclable materials to make woven artworks. Selamat datang ke Headline, saya Simon Gang. Terima kasih menyertai sesi berita kita. In Shandong, Tzu Chi volunteers conducted monthly home visits as promised despite the freezing cold weather. They visited 2 households of care recipients, giving them warmth and loving care.
今天很冷啊哈，0下9度。
In Tzu Chi, Shandong, it's -9 degrees Celsius. Tzu Chi volunteers still continue to conduct monthly visits to the elderly.
庄稼收成了今年？
庄稼
啊，
种好梅子没种帮成
啊。是梅子收的怎么样啊？
梅子收的，也说俺家物业也用。
就是有粮食，手中有粮，心中不慌啊。
就是啊。
The home visitation has lasted from 2016 until now. No matter what the weather is, Tzu Chi volunteers still keep their promise.
这天你看我说他。
对呀。
还愿意俺再来呀吧？
愿意。
那俺就每个月都来呀哈。
来吧。
他们刚刚接上自来水。
They have just connected to tap water. For so many years, they have been getting water from outside. We have already solved this problem for decades. Yet they only get it fixed recently. I am very pleased for them.
Just before the volunteers left, it snowed heavily. Yet, this did not stop the volunteers from leaving, rushing to give Tian Jinghao and his mother thick cotton jackets.
金浩妈呢，状态现在也今非昔比。
Jinhao's mother's condition has improved a lot.
又哭又怨，但是现在呢，哈。
She often cried and complained before, but now she's very positive because she can create value with her own hardworking hands.
在雪地上滑行了10几米，还好，最后横在路中间，没有下沟。因为当时呢滑车的时候哈，我坐在后面，一点都不紧张。为什么？因为我们带着爱的心啊，去做善事，一定没问题。
Next January, Tzu Chi will deliver winter supplies to the sanitation workers in Mentoukou. Beijing Tzu Chi volunteers visited the site in advance to prepare for the activities at the end of the year. Take a look.
At 6 o'clock in the morning, Beijing Tzu Chi volunteers set off from the city. This time, they will visit the sanitation service teams in 5 districts in Mentoukou.
We clean out the areas of Mentoukou, so we have 550 employees scattered in various locations, and they work nearby.
After the introduction, the volunteers have deeper understanding of the sanitation work in Mentoukou. The volunteers also want to pass on the warmth from all to the sanitation workers.
Because sometimes sanitation workers feel like they're at the bottom level and this job is not valued by others. So we also hope that through our carefully prepared activities, they will have a sense of spiritual abundance.
Dirty, tiredness, and danger are all reflected in our sanitation work. But in the past few years, social awareness, including the concern of leaders for sanitation workers, has been greatly improved. Your charity organizations have also supported and helped our sanitation workers. So I also thank you on behalf of our sanitation workers.
In addition to introducing the significance of this visit, Tzu Chi volunteers also surveyed the site where the supplies will be given next month.
In the photo I showed you just now, there will be a ceremony first. For example, the leader will be invited to speak. Volunteers' handover ceremony will be in the seat.
The purpose of the site survey is to give the sanitation workers more respect from us when they receive this material. It also makes these sanitation workers feel that their work is more sacred.
For the 6 sites that needed to be surveyed, the volunteers made 2 trips to complete the survey, making preparation 1 month in advance to make the annual gathering smoother.
In Quanzhou, China, there's an elderly recycling volunteer named Ding Mu-er. For most of her life, she has dedicated herself to caring for her family. However, after her husband passed away, her health deteriorated. Then she came in contact with Tzu Chi and started to do recycling. Take a look at the story.
Halfway through doing her laundry, Ding Mu'er gets ready to take off upon getting a phone call. Ding is afraid that people will throw away recyclables, so she collects them whenever people call her.
Wherever people needs me, I will go there. It does not matter where the location is. I will figure out a way.
After Ding's husband passed away, she started to decide the direction of her life.
It is boring sitting around without work to do. I can do recycling here and I feel happy.
When she did not go out, she sometimes complained of headache, waist pain, stomach, and other problems. After doing recycling, her health has improved. Recycling allows her to exercise.
After doing recycling, Ding forgot about her health problems. She can ride tricycle loaded with recyclables for 3 to 4 times a day. This recycling tricycle team has become a special thing in town.
When it rained, I did not bring a raincoat, so I brought one. When it rains, I won't be afraid of getting wet.
As Ding dedicates herself to protecting the environment, she has also found a new meaning in her life.
In China, 16-year-old Bai Zhiping is a Tzu Chi scholarship recipient. He was brought up by his grandparents and was from a poor family. In August, he went to Chengdu to study in a vocational school. Unfortunately, his grandfather passed away in early December. Tzu Chi volunteers accompany him back home, ensuring that Bai can stay strong.
Returning home is a joy for most people, but for Bai Zhiping, who has just lost his grandfather, it is a sad journey. In August, Bai Zhiping happily went to Chengdu to study a vocational school. Unexpectedly, this trip home would be a funeral for his grandfather. 60 years old Bai Zhiping lost his father since he was a child, and his mother remarried. He was raised by his grandparents. At the beginning of this year, Tzu Chi subsidized his tuition under a report of the school teacher.
You raised such a grandson well. We all bless him. I wish the road to the future becomes wider and wider.
The grandmother who lost her husband felt a sense of loss in her heart. Fortunately, the grandson came back in time, which gave the elder a lot of comfort.
你儿书读好的，你也出了门，奶奶老了嘛，奶奶也靠你。
我会好好的学习的。
是啊是啊，你就
也会经常打电话回来。
我母亲岁数也大了，加上又身体不好。
My mother is also old and in poor health. She has to work hard for me and my nephew. She can't bear that much, so we're all very grateful for your support.
The company ship of volunteers has filled up the missing love from his parents. A week later, the volunteers brought a photo of Bai Zhiping and his grandpa that was taken 4 years ago. Looking at the pictures, the grandma and grandchild finally swept away the sadness and smiled. It became the warmest picture in the winter sun.
In Malaysia, Rizal used to be a chef in a restaurant, but was unable to work because of diabetes affecting his eyesight. Due to the pandemic, their lives have become even more difficult. The family came into contact with Tzu Chi once again after they received aid from the Neighborhood Relief Program.
A blanket evokes Rizal's memories with Tzu Chi volunteers.
It's already been 3 years. I still remember Tzu Chi. On that day when Tzu Chi volunteers came, I recognized them because they were still wearing the same uniform.
More than 4 years ago, a fire broke out in the home of the aid recipient. Besides distributing consolation cash to the family, we also gave them Tzu Chi eco blankets.
Under the pandemic, the Neighborhood Relief Program has led Tzu Chi volunteers to visit Rizal's home again. After 4 years, Rizal's lives has changed already.
The doctor has sent me a letter asking me to go to the hospital for dialysis. One of my eyes has lost vision, while the other side is already blurry. I can't work anymore.
As he is unable to work because of illness, his wife Asrin has to bear the financial burden of the family of 5. Yet, during the movement restriction order, his wife received a pay cut, making their life even worse.
After I return home from work, I'll make muruku. I get up at 5:30 the next morning to make pastries to sell. If I cannot get a subsidy, I'll try to find sources of income.
Under the pandemic, even though they have a hard life, the couple were still contented and cherished what they have.
They're stateless and can only live in a small house on a boat. Many children can only eat porridge. I think they're more difficult than me.
After 4 years, Tzu Chi volunteers' sincerity and passion still remained unchanged.
An environmental protection group in Thailand specializes in recycling plastic into exquisite artwork. They recently visited Tzu Chi Thailand chapter to demonstrate how plastic bottle caps can be collected and sorted to create unique artworks.
After winding it patiently with great skill and then soaking it in water, this beautiful flower pot is completed. Can you guess what this colorful and delicate container on the table are made of?
Today, I'm very happy to be able to make a new product with recycled plastic bottle caps. This has let such resources become gold. This is the product of my creativity.
The raw materials for the artworks in this recycling education station operate by Tzu Chi Thailand chapter. The colorful bottle caps are sorted by their color, and the magic is about to begin. A plastic recycling machine brought by this Bangkok environmental NGO crushes bottle caps and melts it at high temperature, creating vibrant and moldable new plastic.
Everyone feels very happy. We can recycle the bottle caps by ourselves and let everyone use their creativity to make unique work.
We also emphasize that everyone should do a good job of recycling at the source. If everyone can learn more about classification of recyclables, they will be willing to do it at home.
This event not only exchanges environmental protection knowledge, but also promotes plastic recycling machines in the community so that plastics are no longer disposable, as everyone can come together to protect the earth.
In Indonesia's Tangerang, there is a recycling center which specializes in promoting woven artworks. A group of senior volunteers head to the center daily, using recycled materials to make creative artworks. This is a creative workshop at a recycling center in Indonesia's Tangerang. Using recycled plastics, they are making all sorts of woven artworks. The recycling center has invited a group of silver-haired seniors to utilize these materials, crafting them into artworks. These plastic and aluminum can be woven into handbags, backpacks, vase covers, mats, etc. The establishment of this recycling center is thanks to the effort of Salmat Riyadi. He has been focusing on environmental issues for a long time and decided to set up this recycling center as he noticed that the amount of garbage has been increasing rapidly. He also invited a group of senior volunteers in protecting the environment.
If we are mindful in carrying out each task, doing it wholeheartedly, we can definitely bring much benefit towards our society.
It has been over 20 years since the establishment of the recycling center. There are 32 senior volunteers at the recycling center with an average age of over 60 years old.
We provide the seniors with tasks no matter what we're doing. The seniors are our top priority.
To ensure the continuation of this meaningful activity, he hopes that more young people can participate, enabling the activities at the recycling center to be able to keep up to the latest trend. In Indonesia, although everyone has national health insurance, a lack of medical resources causes many people to miss out on treatment. In Serang, 2 Muslim NGOs work together and establish the first eye center so that more people can receive treatment. According to a statistic by the Indonesian Health Ministry in 2018, 3% of the population in Indonesia are vision impaired, with an average age of 50 years old. Most of the patients have either cataracts or glaucoma and were unable to receive proper treatment in time. There's a lack of medical resources in Indonesia, and there's also an uneven distribution of medical resources among the provinces. Thus, many residents are unable to receive the best possible treatment. For example, most ophthalmology treatment centers are located in Jakarta and Bandung. Patients can only head to the cities to seek treatment, but have to queue for long periods of time. To cope with this issue, two major Muslim NGOs in Indonesia have worked together to establish the first eye center specializing in treating retinal diseases and glaucoma in Banten. The eye center officially began its operations on October 21, 2020. Indonesia's Vice President Maruf Amin, representatives of the two Muslim NGOs, and the mayor of Serang all attended the opening ceremony.
Kota Serang ini terutama di usia-usia yang sudah tua itu banyak sekali.
In our city, there are many elders with vision problems, especially cataracts. Many young people also suffer from cataracts. The establishment of this eye center has brought hope to our residents living here in Serang. They can now receive treatment for their eye diseases.
Merupakan salah satu solusi untuk bisa menyelesaikan masalah-masalah penyakit mata di Kota Serang.
The eye center, which specializes in retinal diseases and glaucoma, is established under the Serang Eye Hospital. For families with financial difficulties or without health insurance, the center provides free medical treatment.
Pembiayaannya pun juga rumah sakit ini menunjukkan tentang pentingnya kebersamaan.
This hospital has portrayed the spirit of helping out one another. It also shows the responsibility of reciprocating back to our society as stated in the Islamic teachings. The funds are love from our fellow brothers and sisters. Every Muslim hospital is established to serve the public, solving their vision problems.
Yang penting bisa memberikan layanan terhadap kebutaan itu.
In New Taipei City, Shanzhi District is a remote area and lacks medical resources. TIMA members regularly visited seniors living there, checking on their health condition. Here's more.
这个球其实是让他这样练那个握力。
Using a squeeze ball to train the seniors' joints, TIMA doctors brought these devices in order to teach seniors on how to self-train hand muscles in order to prevent muscle loss.
比如说他整个大的球是。
For example, the large ball helps his fingers with flexibility. The small ball trains his palm pressure points, helping his hands blood circulation.
With a gap of 2 months, TIMA members went to Shanzhi District to visit seniors. Therapist Liu Erxiang joined for the first time in order to understand what Tzu Chi is doing.
Since I was thinking of what Tzu Chi does, so based on this invitation, I agreed to come and see.
After kneeling down to care for elders, and seeing what volunteers do to close the distance with seniors, Liu Erxiang witnessed the Tzu Chi spirit.
Between humans, it's important to give and take when interacting with one another.
We are able to understand their feelings due to several visits here. Now they share their thoughts with us. So through the visits and with a good opportunity, we wanted to interact with him more.
The free medical care is provided to elders, hoping that through visits they may receive the best care.
In Taiwan, a vendor designed an autopilot drone which is able to execute various missions, such as environmental monitoring, finding collapsed spots in the reservoir, calculating the sediment accumulation at the harbor, and heading into terrains where humans are unable to set foot. Follow our report as we learn more.
Drones allow humans to acquire a bird's eye view. Nowadays, the drones can catch people camping and burning logs outdoors.
Like this collapse we're seeing here, and through the information we can get a hold of the land that is collapsed, determining the damaged area. To the units managing this reservoir, they may easily tell how much of an impact this collapse will be due to their silt situation.
Upon a reservoir inspection, the human eye is unable to observe the small collapses, but the intelligent drone can. When machines are injected with the soul of an AI, it becomes more powerful as it completes these inspection missions on its own.
There are many places where humans cannot set foot on, especially when we predict earthquakes or typhoons. It's very dangerous to send inspectors to areas that collapsed.
With intelligent drone, the danger zones are not to be afraid of, and there isn't a worry about inspectors unable to reach certain areas. At the Hsinchu Science Park, the drone parking apron opens up as the drones go on a mission. This drone dedicated to environmental detection is 100% made in Taiwan. It even has a drone team management system. Once data is sent to the cloud, it is analyzed quickly by staff members, as the detection success rate is over 90%.
On the issue of detecting landslides, we work with professional units. Now our detection success rate is at 92%. The green frames here are calculated by the drones. It firstly frames each car out, and then we calculate how many frames are there, further concluding on how many cars are at the scene.
Suspicious cars and any situation in an environment proves to be an easy task for the drone. The easiness is thanks to the powerful learning curve of the AI. Vendors have tested that in order to detect landslides, humans have to be trained for years, yet an AI system only takes 3 months to train.
If we simply train someone without any experience on detection, we might have to spend 2 to 4 years doing so. This is to make sure that we train an accurate and keen detection staff.
The self-taught drone, when a flight path is set, sets out to a mission as it also has the function to come back and charge.
On the screen, if I click fly, the drone will fly and execute the mission. It does the mission alone. It also follows my designated flight time, location, and flight path during the mission.
Vendors collaborated with several public sectors in order to execute missions regarding environment, air pollution, oil stains, and soot detection.
Actually, we have a very important job, and that is called engineering analysis. We must determine how much we have to clean at the port.
In the past, port dredging relied on manual labor, using machinery to measure the sediment area. Now, with drones, it not only can take an aerial photo, it can also construct a 3D model of the scene. Along with data analysis, this saves plenty of time for future constructions. The drones are often out on duty, and against the fierce weather they might face, vendors have applied extra guard to the drone's body.
The drones have a waterproof level of up to IP54, and in terms of wind, it can fly even at level 6 wind.
IP54 is globally certified protection level. It means that the device is dust-proof and is water repellent. Nowadays, drones are fully equipped. Moving on, the next step is to remove the controller, letting the drone fly out of sight.
Now this most important goal is to let the drone fly out of sight. The countries doing this right now still requires a ground observer, and I think that in the United States, there are some occasions where the ground observer isn't needed.
In the globe, the United States and Japan prepared to amend the law, opening up the possibility for an aerial craft to fly out of sight. Now that Taiwan is ready to follow the trend, further developments are underway to ensure success.
In Guatemala, Tzu Chi volunteers distributed daily supplies for 1,150 families during the pandemic. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you and goodbye.